Chapter 1, Self-Defense Basics. A synopsis. There's an easy system that will give you a great foundation on which you're able to build. Discovering how to escape from an attack is such an imperative aspect of self-defense, especially during the early days of learning. This book will supply the necessities and a few general concepts that you're able to apply to a lot of situations. You may well want to take further training. The basics. Get a game plan. Avoidance should be your first goal, however. If somehow this has failed you, then your following choice ought to be escape. Avoidance is a great deal commanded by your awareness, which might be heightened by increasing your self-defense knowledge through reading and research. If running or walking off isn't a choice, either then escape is by all odds your next choice. If this calls for a physical battle, then you should look to make this encounter as brief as possible. The longer it carries on, then the odds may be against you. When you're learning, don't be in a heap of a hurry to rush on and cover the following techniques. Take your time and let the concept to be absorbed. This is assembled of different concepts. It's far easier to learn a couple of concepts than to learn a different technique to counter every different type of attack. We have adopted a few of the very basic concepts used to produce a range of breaks, aways, blended with a few primary hitting and placing. Together, they'll give you a great feel for some of the basics of self-defense. Right now, you may well live in a place where you feel it's safe and unnecessary for this sort of book. But will it forever be like that? Is the region expanding with new people, bringing in different thoughts and values with them? Will you leave that area to travel for work or even fun? It might be really useful merely to learn some fresh ideas. Open your mind and have a look at the situation from a wider viewpoint. There's no harm in being prepared for the unexpected. These techniques use gross motor skills, basic body movements, so they are truly easy to learn and carry out. Techniques or concepts have to be easy to be effective under pressure. These are imperative factors, as techniques must be simple enough to be performed under pressure. Rehearse these techniques with acquaintances and loved ones. The more you rehearse, the more inherent they'll feel. Likewise, practice your freshly learned skills in different places: the kitchen, bath, front room, or garage, and so forth. If you spend much of your time in small rooms or spaces, then don't confine your practice to the big open space of a gym. You have to practice in surroundings that are applicable to you. As part of your awareness, it helps to recognize who the foe is and learn to distinguish their movements, even rituals that are common among certain types of attackers. Women are likely to come across another sort of attacker than those that men are expected to face. Normally, women are much likelier to take on men like muggers or rapists, as contrary to men. If we comprehend the enemy, then we have a far higher chance of getting the better of them. There's much deception that comes with these people, and commonly the bigger the crime, the bigger the deceit. Not all assailants will fit that stereotype affiliated with the bad guy. And rather frequently, you might not even have to look beyond your own loved ones. We hear accounts of domestic violence on a day-by-day basis. Try not to get ensnared in your own little bubble, and be cognizant that there are people outside of your domain. Whether we like it or not, there are individuals out there whose aims are not always advantageous. Perhaps you'll never run across people like that, but then again, maybe you will, or perhaps you already have. It might be in the workplace, in the house, on the street, in a bar, or even on the road. It really may be any place. Don't turn off. That's just the type of people that vultures seek. Foul things sometimes happen to great individuals, and don't think that it couldn't happen to you, because it might. I'm surely not saying that it will, but it may. We hear of matters happening day in and day out, and by just being aware that it's out there is an epic step. Chapter 2, Martial arts basics. A synopsis. Anytime a person chooses to learn how to protect themselves, learn self-defense, or become a better individual, one thing comes to mind: martial arts. Martial arts are really common these days, being practiced all over the world. Martial arts. The martial arts have been utilized for many centuries, while they truly became famous around the time of Bruce Lee. Bruce devised the style of Jeet Kune Do, which involves really fast strikes with astonishing counter-defenses. Once individuals began to see simply how fast Bruce Lee may move, they started to look into martial arts and see simply how it might benefit them. Martial arts are broken down into particular styles. The style all depends upon where and what you study. A lot of cultures and countries provide martial arts that they originated, developed, and honed. Brazil offers Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Japan has karate, Thailand has Muay Thai, France has savate, and China has Shaolin. Bear in mind that every style will vary in strategies and what it has to offer you. While many individuals think of martial arts as being simply for self-defense purposes, this isn't always the case. Martial arts are utilized in tournaments and competitions too, which may include sparring, floor routines, and even block and brick breaking demos. All across the globe, there are competitions and chances for champions to prove themselves and their knowledge. As a whole, all martial arts will teach you how to defend yourself, and most especially help you acquire self-command. Once you start to study a martial art, you'll speedily begin to develop a much better state of mind. No matter what style of martial art you study, the teachers will drill self-command into your head. Those of you who have a bad temper or simply need to learn self-command, martial arts may be really beneficial to study. Not only will you learn self-command, you'll likewise learn how to defend yourself in the most drastic of situations. Self-command is really crucial, as martial arts may be very deadly if they're taught to the wrong individual with the wrong intentions. Over the last decade, there have been a lot of mainstream competitions that showcase martial arts, like Extreme Fighting, King of the Cage, and the most popular of all, the EBOOK Ultimate Fighting Championship. The UFC has come a long way over the years, triggering interest from all over the globe. It pairs stylists from all over the globe together to test their skills and ascertain who's the better fighter. With the UFC, a lot of individuals have acquired the wrong idea about martial arts. A martial art is good to learn, while if it works in the UFC, it doesn't always mean that it will protect you out on the streets. Karate, for instance, teaching blocking and striking, with little to no accent on grappling strategies. If you get in close, karate truly doesn't help. With some distance all the same, karate may be really devastating. Regardless how you look at it, martial arts may be great to learn if you learn it for the correct reasons. Each style will vary in strategy and what it has to offer you, which is why you ought to pick the best style for your needs and what you hope to achieve. Martial arts may teach you a lot about self-defense and yourself. All you have to do is give it a try. Chapter 3, Getting Away. Self-protection isn't merely learning a few techniques. It's about all the things we do on a daily basis to make our lives better. Much of it is common sense, and the rest of it just adds up. Some matters you merely do without considering it, whether it's wearing a seatbelt, crossing the road, or using a knife safely. Once people had to be coerced to wear seatbelts in the car. Nowadays people sit in a car and reach across without a thought. It exhibits that when you do something often enough, it gets to be a habit. After that it becomes instinctive. Escape, staring at the ground, humped shoulders, hiding your hands in your pockets and making yourself little, carries the message, I'm weakly and vulnerable. Women get graded as easy targets, so having firm body language decreases the risk of being fair game. Gain eye contact with people in a way that lets them comprehend you've seen them. Wishful criminals are far less likely to do anything if they think they might be named. Swing your arms while walking, soak up space. Firm body language not only concerns how others view you, however, it step-ups your own self-assurance. Equate enemies on the streets to enemies in the wild. They're not seeking the biggest, boldest, most unattackable animal to take down, however, the feeble, hurt, or set apart. Try not to place yourself in a position where it intensifies your vulnerability. Predators are not seeking a fight, however, a simple kill, and when the target fights fiercely, the marauder will frequently abort. Asserting yourself is an imperative part of taking control of your life. If someone's conduct is making you feel bad, uncomfortable, or scared, then face up to the person. Tell them distinguish the conduct, criticize it, tell them what you want them to do. You're constantly touching me, I don't like it, quit it. Repeat if necessary. This is a direct, non-engaging way of establishing what you want. Avoid saying please when you're asserting yourself. If someone is annoying you in a public place, go ballistic. It will be much more mortifying for that person than for you. Your vocalization is a weapon as well. Hollering will alert other people around and could startle an assailant. It may also help channel your fright into aggressiveness. Scream no, loud and deep from your stomach. Trust your instincts. If something doesn't look correct, then it likely isn't. Say someone unpleasant is following you, believe your instinct and do something, whether it's confronting them, getting to safety, calling someone, or getting a weapon set. Get a cellular phone. It's not expensive if it's for emergency only. Not only might you rally help from everywhere, however, you are able to also use it as a weapon. Use your voice once a forcible encounter has started. Screaming loud as you strike serves many purposes. Firstly, you might startle the assailant with a sudden loud scream. You're also drawing attention to yourself, so someone might come to your aid. And you may be producing witnesses, which could come inconvenient if you gave physical harm to your assailant. In self-defense, it may well come to a spot where it's just your word against theirs, however. If it just so happened that a passerby heard you yelling, let go, then that all of a sudden becomes evidence. Screaming also tenses up your abs area, so if you happen to get a hit at that same time, then you're much less likely to be out of breath by it. It makes sense that the closer you are to your assailant, then the less time you have to respond to their motions. Then plainly, the greater the distance, the more time you have to react. Keep at a good distance, a distance that you're easy with and will give you time to react. If possible, stand with an obstruction between you and the other individual too. The assailant always has the upper hand from an action-response point of view, as he knows that he's going to lash out. However, your brain will have to process what it is he's doing, and then decide what it is you're going to do as a reaction, and then send the signals to the muscular tissue to make them move as required. Chapter 4. A look at Kung Fu. A synopsis. The martial art of Kung Fu is an exchange of culture, a sort of exercise, and likewise a way of defending yourself. The art is really popular throughout the globe, likewise being known as Gung Fu, Wushu, and even Kyoshu. It shares a few common traits with karate, like utilizing both hand and foot strategies. Kung Fu is among the most popular forms of martial arts, and likewise one of the oldest. One style. Within Kung Fu, there are many styles and variances, although the most popular are those that have their roots in the long-familiar Shaolin Temple. What most inhabit aren't aware of, however, is the fact that Kung Fu was practiced in China years prior to the first Shaolin Temple was even thought of. A bulk of martial arts enthusiasts consider self-defense as being the ultimate goal of any martial art, including Kung Fu. While self-defense is involved with Kung Fu, the martial is so much more than simply fighting and defense. It's an actual art, one that develops the mind, body, and the soul. Kung Fu doesn't teach pupils to defeat others, as it teaches pupils to look inside themselves and learn to have complete and total command over their emotions. Kung Fu is an art of harmony, which teaches to pupils to remain at peace and prevent confrontations. If a situation threatens bodily harm to the pupil, then he must rise to the occasion, becoming the warrior and guarding himself. Simply like other types of martial arts, Kung Fu teaches the balance that's imperative for executing strategies and the proper movement. The basic concept behind the balance is that same balance that the Chinese think keeps the balance between heaven and earth. This construct of balance may be accomplished by pupils if they totally focus their thoughts and empty their minds free from any type of distractions. Kung Fu is a martial art that can be learned by anybody. It does take a firm desire, simply like any other martial art. It has a robust heritage and a proud legacy. Kung Fu is indeed a deadly martial art if utilized in the wrong ways. There are versions of Kung Fu as well, which include the infamous 5 animals: tiger, dragon, eagle claw, crane, and the snake, adapted by the animals in which they are named after. The 5 animals style is some of the most impressive in martial arts. Tiger claw is far and away the deadliest of the 5 animals, teaching pupils to strike simply like the dreaded tiger. This style teaches the pupil power in his hands, so that when he strikes, he rips the flesh. Tiger claw is really deadly, although it's very hard to find teachers that teach this style nowadays. Unlike additional martial arts, there really are no competitions for Kung Fu. Stylists may compete at other competitions, although there truly aren't any that are for only Kung Fu. It's an ancient martial art that's to be used only in instances where there's no other alternative than to fight back. When provoked, the stylist ought to try everything he or she can to avoid confrontations. Kung Fu aims to teach the lessons of respect, fairness to others, harmony of the spirit, and total self-command regardless what. These characteristics, when paired together, allow pupils to accomplish success in a hard-to-deal-with society. Kung Fu is all about developing the student's overall well-being and following the straight path to mental and physical stamina. Chapter 5, Using Your Body. A synopsis, the initiatives to defending yourself. Basic techniques. The interview posture. Stand in a comfortable position in readiness prior to any physical approach has began. Feet shoulder-width apart, hands opened up at about chest level and elbows tucked in. Keep an eye on your attacker, looking roughly at chest level where you're able to see motion from both their hands and feet. Attempt to keep a space of at least 6 feet. The closer you let them be, the less reaction time you have. You're now in a safer position, aware and ready to protect yourself. Your elbows are tucked in protecting your body, and your hands are close to your head should you have to move them to protect your face. Defensive posture. Step back with your dominant side, same shoulder and leg backward. Your right side is backward if you're right-handed. This lets you generate more power with your dominant hand or foot as you strike. Stepping back as different than forward into this position also produces that little bit of additional distance between you and the assailant again that gives you more time to react. Tuck your chin. Hold hands high to protect the face and hold elbows in to protect the ribs. This pose will feel uncomfortable, so practice this enough till you're easy. Your legs should be staggered to supply added stability by broadening your base, and your knees fairly bent to further help stableness and balance. This defensive stance supplies good protection and balance. It lets you move fast into positions to strike. Body tools, fists, hands, fingers, head, elbows, knees, feet, butt, hips, and so forth. Anything goes. Hits might be utilized in different ways. Practice using different tools to get at the different basic targets: groin, eyes, throat, solar plexus, knees, instep. Everyone, regardless of size, has these fallible points. Follow the steps for increasing the force of your strikes. Screaming with each strike not only startles an attacker, it alerts any people around you and likewise helps channel your fear into aggression. For practice, look for possible targets on people as you're talking to them, or even if you're just watching someone. Consider the assorted strikes that you might use to each of the targets that you have in mind. The bottom line for striking is use whatever you've got. The eyes, nose, throat, abdominal area, groin, instep, and shins serve as a great beginning point to targeting. They are all really easy, effective places that are simply accessible with different types of hits. While the groin area might be genuinely effective, don't concentrate only on the groin as a target. Men have an instinct to respond exceedingly fast to strikes aimed at the groin, so save this area as a target on assaulters that are really close. Hits are made better in a lot of ways. Brace the target area by the person being against a wall or floor, or even brace the target yourself by holding the person or limb in place while striking. Don't aim simply at the target area, but about 6 inches past it. Don't pull your strikes back too quickly. Your strike is kept in contact for a count. This helps produce a level best transfer of power. Hitting with a greater surface likewise gives a better carryover of power. Strike a lot of times to the same target. Prevent punching to the head if possible. It's so easy to break knuckles and fingers as the head is so hard. There's also the risk of someone transmitting nasty infections or even HIV or hepatitis by puncture wounds from the teeth to the knuckles. You're able to hit just as hard with the palm of your hand with much less risk of harm to yourself. While working with these tender areas, pressure points, or motor nerve points, full-on strikes would cause lasting damage, and even 5% hits might have an effect on people. Occasionally, there's even a delay before the reaction. Due to this, we're really cautious. Hitting these areas might have the effect of shutting down that limb, and might likewise bring on unconsciousness. Be admonished that strikes to the throat might cause lasting damage to the throat and even result in death. So this has to be addressed really carefully in training and only used in a true self-defense situation. The same precaution is essential with strikes to the eyes. You have to treat this with total caution in training and only use firm strikes in a real self-protection situation. Chapter 6. Choosing a style to study. A synopsis. For anybody who wishes to learn a martial art, there's a lot to know in regards to the many assorted styles. Naturally, there's the question of discovering the best martial art, which is a question a lot of individuals ask. With so many martial art styles to select from, it may be very complicated to choose one to learn. At choosing, regardless what you might hear or what others have to say, it's really impossible to name one style of martial arts as the elemental best. Really, there are numerous factors that come into play, which makes a statement about a style being the best impossible. Even though one style might beat a different in a competition or a fight, doesn't always mean that the winning style is the best. Before choosing to rush out there and learn a martial art, there are various things that you ought to decide first. All over the world, There are many martial arts schools and dojos that emphasize self-defense a lot more than others. Schools that center on kata, forms, or light sparring are less than likely to teach you what you need to protect yourself on the street. If you're looking for street self-defense, then you'll need a style that trains hard and doesn't let up. Even though martial arts may better your fitness level, it isn't the ambition behind a lot of the martial art styles. Several styles, like Tebow, are based purely on martial arts and doesn't include much physical fitness training. If you're looking for fitness as your main goal, then you ought to be looking into something other than martial arts. Fighting ability will vary among the many assorted martial arts styles. Self-defense schools will many frequently capitalize on fighting skills, teaching you everything you need to survive. Many martial art styles are slow in theory, teaching you kata, movements, and forms. Self-defense schools, on the other hand, teach you how to inflict the many amounts of damage in the least amount of time. Competition-based martial arts are all about acquiring trophies and showing the world your style of martial arts. The competition that you've chosen will greatly impact your style of martial arts. You'll have to resolve if you will be fighting or showcasing display kata, light or heavy contact, or centering on grappling or striking. Before you decide on a martial arts style, you should always research the schools and dojos in your area and see what all they offer you. The best schools will let you participate in a few free classes or provide you discounts on your first few months. They'll answer any questions that you have and work with you to help you learn as much as you may. Wrapping up, be aware of what's going on close to you while walking down the street. Do you know if you're being followed? When out running or walking, are you alone and wearing earphones? These will really curb your awareness. When out walking, view oncoming traffic. Keep your hands out of your pockets so that they're ready to utilize if you're grabbed. Walk confidently. Look like you comprehend what you're doing and where you're going, even if you don't. Keep your head and eyes upwards. Have you noticed a vehicle drive by you a lot of times? Or is there an individual sitting outside your work or school? Adults don't need to ask kids for help. There's safety in numbers. Don't walk in dark alleys/areas to take a shortcut. Always let people know where you are and what time you project to be somewhere. Believe your instincts. If you see something unusual going on, avoid it and tell somebody. If you run or walk alone, don't wear headphones. Don't reply to questions from unknowns on the phone giving info that you're alone. Create eye contact with people in a way they know that you've seen them. A would-be crook doesn't want to be described, so is less likely to strike. Screaming works as someone might come to your assistance, if nothing else. Leastwise, you're pulling attention to yourself. Don't hitchhike. Be careful while utilizing ATMs at night. If you wear a handbag with a strap, be geared up to let it go if it's snatched up. You may get hurt if you're hauled along with it. If an unknown individual stops you to ask directions, then maintain a safe distance from them. If you're dropping someone off at their home, ensure that they are safely inside prior to you driving away. If you're solo and you see an accident or stranded motorist, report it from your mobile phone or from the closest telephone. See to it that you practice at home with loved ones or friends, attend classes, search for more info, and don't disregard the verbal or psychological aspects. Formulate the confidence that you have in yourself and that you're geared up to defend yourself. Be in command of your own fate rather than leaving it in the hands of some ruthless hoodlum.